funny that on this day when we are celebrating mothers, the truth of the mother, the fact that every mother is judged in some context or another. And while we are sitting here, like Solomon, we're always in a position where we're looking on those who live this life, those who participate in this life, and the way they handle the assignment that God has given them. And mothers on this day, while there are many celebrating and thanking and applauding, there are others that sit there and judge and wonder and think and try to figure out in terms of whether or not you've had the best mother, whether you had a good mother, or whether or not your mother did the best in your interest or on your behalf. That when you and I really sit down and we think about it and we give thought to it and consideration to it, that the truth of the matter that in this room there's much celebration. Amen. But also sitting in the room are those who are raising questions in terms of mother and motherhood. What I love about this story, that this story, even though it is one of those unusual, unorthodox kind of story that fits in the Bible, that it says a whole lot about God. It says a whole lot in terms of man. It says a whole lot in terms of a mother. And it's behoove you and I to come to this table, because no one in here, if you honestly be honest in this room, there's no such thing as a perfect mother. Amen. And all will stand in a place to be judged about something. Some would say that you was too mean. Some would say you made me, you was too tight on me. You wouldn't let me do anything. I mean, there'll be in this room those who are saying, if you would have just gave me a little more time, a little more attention. Some in this room, there's always no perfect mother sits in this place or sit in this room. But I guarantee you that this woman's story will breathe into you and I, that when you can't find perfect in people, then maybe you need to hear the whole story. Maybe you need to see the courageousness of a mother. Maybe you don't know the characteristic of people that are courageous and do what they have to do in order that they may move and prepare you to the place where you need to be. Can I challenge you in this room just for a minute, to drop your lens of judgment, to drop your lens and your senses of judging your mother and trying to critique her, and then really look at her again. Take a new look, take a new perspective, and start thinking about possibly maybe what I saw was the fact that it was a result of some courageousness that she had to do in order to ensure my safety, ensure my existence, ensure that I make it to the next place, the next stage, and then consider all that she had to deal with and go through, and then do this one thing right here. Think in terms of whether or not she did that to promote herself, or maybe she did it that she may sacrifice so that you can receive and experience promotion in your life. Yeah. So when we come to this story, it is the first act of King Solomon in terms of judging people. It is one of his duties that is given to him. But you know that when we all sit in judgment, we all sit with our own story. Yes. We all sit in terms of knowing, in terms of who we've been and what we've been through and what our life has been a part of. I always suggest to people, never disconnect yourself from your experience whenever you're looking in other people's experience, because your experience would help you to understand possibly the reason why people do some of the things they do. Maybe the reason why God never picked perfect people to deal with you and I, because he knows that we are not perfect people ourselves. And so when God called Solomon to the kingdom and called him to be king, that he doesn't allow this woman's circumstance or situation to come up until Solomon is up as king. Now he's standing in the place of king, but it also stands with him in his experience. But not only his experience, but the experience of his father. Not only his father's experience, but the experience of his mother. And just for those who may not know in this room, that his mother is Bathsheba. You know Bathsheba, don't you? The one that, that disrupted David's sight in terms of it and disturbed it so much that he couldn't keep his eyes off of her until he committed the act of adultery and murder, so that he could just have a moment with her, almost disrupted, tore up the whole kingdom. But nevertheless, in spite of all of that, somewhere in between there are mess ups, there are hang ups, and there are sometime and give us grace the other time. I don't know why he extends his hands of mercy and then his hands of chastisement. And I don't care to know, because I've discovered that if I try to learn too much about him, then I become more responsible for my own actions and behavior. Can I ask you in this room, how many of you here came here today and you can sit and look at other people through your own lens, through your own experience, through your own hang-ups, through your own habits and your mess up, and still look at them and say, but the grace of God is still available to you. There's still hope, there's still opportunity, there's still a chance, there's still something that God has for you in spite of what you've done, what you've been through, and what life has been like. And that's what that woman's story helps you and I to embrace and to grab and to say that there's a God of grace that looks on you and I, and he looks over our faults and see our needs. I love the old church, because the old church used to tell me when I was a little boy that he looked past my faults and saw my need. I grew up in the experience, understanding that I was worshiping and praising God that can see all of my mischievousness as a little boy and all of my wrong as a little boy, and still have an arm open wide and embrace me and love me and say, yet you still mine. Isn't anybody in it? So when we come to this story, it is a story of celebration, and I don't want you to allow the things in her condition to speak louder than her story and louder than her courageousness. Because this really ain't about her conditions. This is about the courageousness of a mother. Yes. Can I tell you that when we come to her story, she's a prostitute at this point. She lives in the house of what considered to be a brothel house, where other women's in her situation and does her profession lives. She's doing the best they can. They all are doing the best they can. And people would attempt to judge them without knowing in terms of their cultural norms that was there, that no woman should ever have in their culture be sitting in a brothel house having to market herself in order that she may live and have survival. She is a result of some circumstances in her life that has failed her. For her to be in a brothel house, meaning that there was a failed covenant relationship with her father somewhere that did not promote her, prepare her, and protect her and keep her so that she would never ever have to do this. Somewhere, in order for her to be in the brothel house, that means that there's a failed family experience somewhere, because even if the father failed, then there should have been brothers that was there to help her and say that if you can't make it on your own, then I'll be there to help you make it. So you come live at my house. Somewhere, something had failed her. If it wasn't a family there in the community where God people was, and that's why I always keep saying to the church is not about people who come in and that are perfect. The church is about people who comes in who have failed in some context or another. And God says, this is my extended family, that if your biological family missed it, then there's a spiritual family that is there to rescue you and undergird you. Church is more than about preaching. Church is more than about witnessing to Jesus. Church is about putting back the broken lives of people that enter the door, no matter how broken it may be, no matter what they've been through. And when family have failed, and when others have failed, and when the system have failed, then the house of God and the place of God, I would say, we pick up the pieces and put you back together again, because our Father is a potter and he wants to put you back together again. Is there somebody in this room other than me that when you came to church you was broken, you was crushed, you was bruised, you was broken, but somewhere some uncanny people that was talking about Jesus and reading scripture and singing songs and loving you and wrapping their arms around you, some kind of way help put you back together again, and now you're better than what you were. Now you're going where you wasn't going to be headed, and now you're doing what you wouldn't be doing if it had not been for the house of God. The church must not fail in the 21st century when broken men and broken women enter these doors. Don't seek to judge them, but seek to help them and to heal them and put them back together again. God has sent their brokenness to you so that you who have been broken like them can put them back together again. Is there anybody in here? So when we come to this woman's story, she's broken, but she haven't quit. She's been let down by father and family and community, but she haven't quit. She haven't given up. She haven't thrown in the towel. She's living through with nothing, waiting and hoping that one day she will have something. And so when you come to her story, she's in the brothel house, but she have not given up hope. And so therefore, even in her spirits of having a son, she who comes out of a community of those who breathe the scripture into the life of women, that reminds them that God has placed a pressure responsibility on you in order for you to give birth and to continue the generation in terms of life. That's a sound of power. When women start talking about power, and when you start talking about your influence, just always remember that there's no life without you. That God so designed that man may initiate it, but he requires a woman in order to continue. And if you all are trying to figure out whether or not you're necessary or you're essential, whether or not you're needed, just keep on reminding yourself, if it wasn't for you here, then there would be no one else, no great men, no great women, no stars, no great scientists, no doctors, no lawyer. If it wasn't from the fact that God has called you to be a mother, you ought to shout and give God some praise in this house. Because I know everybody keeps on trying to downplay you. I know everybody don't try to give you the same chance in the business world. But tell them one thing you can't cheat me out of. And one thing that you cannot work me out of is the fact that you can't take away from me that I'm the only one that can give birth in this world. Yeah. Them 9 months is worth the fight. Is worth the cry, because it keeps you essential in the world that attempts to make you minimize who you are. Yeah, thank you. Hallelujah. Y'all don't know it won't make me shout in this room, because when you start saying me too, you need to look around and say all of your part of a me too, because of my move, it's you too. Yeah, man. You're making it, you're surviving, you're here because of watch this in the story. I'll drop these points and leave you alone. That you go eat Mother's Day's dinner with your mother today, or sit around with family and celebrate. The first thing we learn about this woman is that she doesn't allow her condition to change her assignment. Watch it in this room. That when you start laboring the circumstance of a woman in which she birthed a child, make sure it don't run against your theology. You who declares that God is the giver of life. Be careful that it don't run against your theology that sits down and say God is the author and the finisher of life. Just because she doesn't have it in the context that is agreeable to you, and I'm almost tempted to say agreeable to the Bible, but I messed up when I get to Jesus' story, because I can't say the Bible always agree. Okay. That's too heavy right here. Because at the end of the day, let me say it. She's espoused to Joseph and not God. Okay. But yet she had God's son without an earthly father in terms of his biological father. So we be careful in terms of our theology. Be careful when you see a woman birth a child out of what considered to be normal circumstances, or the circumstances you suggest, or even sometimes what the biblical narrative say that we should. And it is true that we should have both mother and father. It is true we should try to do it in the best of circumstances. The biblical narrative is true, but always remember the Bible we read is God who sets a standard to where it ought to be. But he knows something about humanity that sometimes we won't do what God wants, and so God gives another grace in order that he catches us when we fall. He catches us when we deviate. He catches us when we don't meet the standard. He catches us when we do it our way, because God is still trying to say to you and I that at the end of the day, I have a standard, but I also have a whole lot of grace. So this woman gave birth to a son without the presence of a father, and it's very possible she really don't know who the father is because of her profession. Yeah. But nevertheless, she has the courage to not allow her circumstance to change her assignment. and I speak to the women in this room, but also to me, do you have the courage not to allow your circumstances to change your assignment? That oftentimes you're challenged in terms of an assignment, but then when you look at your circumstances, oftentimes you readjust, you change your assignment based upon your circumstances. You start telling yourself, I can't do it because I'm not smart enough. I can't do it because I wasn't born on the right side of the track. I'm not the right kind. I'm not the best in the family. I'm not the favorite in the family. Or maybe I am the favor, but I got so many odds against me. And maybe that's just too much on me. Change your assignment. Because of the pressure of being the best, the pressure of being at the top is a whole lot of pressure. And sometimes you get tired. And you just want to settle where everybody else is settling. And you can learn something about this mother. And this mother says, regardless of your circumstances, I won't let it change my assignment. Maybe her father failed her. Maybe the community of those in terms of the place where she worshiped and where she gave praise and where they raised her in the scripture. Maybe she felt that in the midst of all of that failed, the one thing they did give her was the hope of God. And when everything around you failed you, keep reminding yourself that yet that's still the hope of God. Yet that's still the word of God. Yet there's still the possibility that God would do something in my life in spite of what else has failed around me. If this woman had the courageousness to believe that though everything else has failed me, I can still trust God. Because remember, she has to view her assignment not as the man who laid with her, but the God who gave her the assignment.
Yes, sir.
I refuse to get political. There are those who are suggesting now circumstances when you need to let go and you need to get rid of the child. And by no means, I don't think no man need to make that decision for nobody. Because remember, it is your kind who have perpetrated the evil or perpetrated the dread or perpetrated the darkness upon her. So you're disqualified to tell her what she ought to do in terms of her body. Sit down somewhere and let a voice that is greater than yours speak to her. Yeah. And I'm not sitting here preaching pro or no. I preach no. But at the same time, I'm preaching God. And God is the one who determines. And so when I talk to my sister, I have to say to her, now who you believe created this on the inside of you? Because absent of the person and absent of the experience, there's an assignment obviously God is trying to hand to you that would allow you to go beyond and outlive the experience that you've been through. Maybe this woman's real courage was that she had the ability to look over the fact of who perpetrated this on her, to see who had assigned her to the responsibility of giving birth. Maybe her real courage is to cast off her own self-doubt and her own disabilities and disconnections and disinheritance that she did not have as a woman to be able to raise a child. Maybe her real courage is to know in terms of her circumstance where she lived and know that it's not the right environment to raise any child, but at the same time, but said nevertheless. Maybe her real courage is the fact that she can take an assignment even though she's living with the pain of her circumstances and the pain of the man who just got up and left and don't know when he'll be back or if he'll ever be back. Maybe she lives her real courage is to know that in spite of the fact that there will be no father and there will be no help and there won't be no child support and there won't be another person supporting her in this situation, her real courage is nevertheless, I'll still do it, God. The courageousness of this mother is to say, in spite of what I've been through, and in spite of what has happened to me, in spite of what I'm going through, and in spite of what's going on with me, I still choose to give life. Maybe she knows something that you and I don't know. Maybe she picked the scripture, and the scripture says to a woman, and you shall be saved through childbearing. And I know that sound archaic and I know that sound distant, but really sit down and let that text really talk to you and really get on the inside of your mind. Because the truth of the matter, we're all saved by childbearing. No. Can I argue in this room that the next generation is only better because what was birthed from the generation prior? Can I argue in this room that you have no scientists, you have no doctors, you have no lawyers, you don't have any of those things except someone else birthed them and brought them into the realm and the earth realm? We are all saved through childbearing. Somebody birthed somebody that created the cures for your disease, that created the design for life, who created everything in this earth realm has been birthed through a woman. And that's what God said. As you keep on birthing, you're going to keep saving that around you. And those that are dealing with that, there you go. So now look at that scripture different. Not as if God said that's the only thing you can do. God is saying the most essential thing that you would do is give life to another that will be able to give life in a context that maybe you don't give it. And Lord, I don't need to talk about Mary when she gives birth to Jesus. God doesn't drop your salvation down through an angelic host. He doesn't send it on a lightning flash, and he doesn't send it on a cloud, but he sends it through the birth canal of a woman, and based upon that woman, we all saved through child. Look at it again. I know the naysayers, and I know those that with masculine tone of voices were trying to restrict you to that, and I know those with liberal voices were trying to say I'm more important than that. Baby, how more important can you be in to give life to something and someone else? How more important can you be to keep life moving? How more important can you be? Y'all ain't careful. I'll go back to last week's conversation about being a part of something that outlived your existence. And when you give birth, you're a part of something that outlived your existence, that keeps on giving. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, it does.
Can I help you? Yeah. But the next thing, this woman has the courage to create an environment of care. And I know I'm about to change my point. An environment of chaos. All mothers have that kind of ability.
Yes, sir.
To come in a situation and in a circumstance and create an environment of care. Even in the midst of our chaos. She knows how to calm that which is chaotic. She knows how to bring creativity to that which is chaotic. I would be tempted in here to tell my stories. I'll be tempted in here unless I make it a subjective conversation and you don't have the opportunity to tell yours. But I just want you to reflect as we will go of the creativity, of the courage of your mother to create something out of an environment. You know you grew up somewhere. Yeah. Let me start. Sometimes we live in high places. But even in the midst of high places, there's still some chaos going on that nobody may not know because they're judging your house and they're judging your car and they're judging your money, but they ain't judging your real circumstances. They're catching hell. And you just don't know it. They're going through and you just don't know it. And here you go, sitting here trying to judge somebody based upon something you see and not knowing that they catch as much hell as you. And I did that because when I talk in this room, there are people who always talk about if I had this and I had that and I grew up on this side. Yeah, if you grew up on that side, you'd probably be just as out of it as anybody else. Size of towns and houses and money doesn't guarantee you success. It takes a mother with a courageous kind of spirit to make the best of an atmosphere, whether it's high or low, rich or poor, whether it's the haves or the have-not. It takes the courageousness of a mother to step in your situation and create an environment for you to grow, and create an environment for you to live, and create an environment for you to do better and to get better. I don't care whether it is high or low. I don't care if you're middle class, low class, or no class. I don't care what it is. mama and did it, but God sent somebody. Yeah. The issue ain't whether or not I had my own. The issue is whether or not I had one. Can I help you in this room? Because some of us crying today over our biological mother in disregard to the one that honored you by picking you up and undergirding you and loving you and being there for you in spite of the circumstance. That woman was courageous. And that's why we ought to talk about the courageousness of a mother that has a way of creating an atmosphere of care no matter what the environment is. Think about the places you was raised. Think about the things that you've been through and the things that didn't happen to you, and the only reason it did because your mother had the courage to tell you ain't going. Courage tell them ain't good friends right there, baby. Courage tell you can't talk to them one of those over there. Tell you no, that boy, you still wet behind the ears. Anybody remember that? And when you thought that you was no longer wet behind the ear, now then she tell you, I see you kind of smelling yourself now. Anybody ever heard that now? You better sit down, y'all. You're going to get something that you don't want and make you have to live with it when you don't yet, longer than you want. Listen, you would tell you, sit down. Thank God for a mother that will show up and tell boy, listen here, don't you disrespect me by disrespecting women. Yeah. She had, mothers have a way of creating an atmosphere of care no matter what the environment is. You know, you fell, had your rough knees roughed up, scraped all up, and she said, come on, let me kiss you, boo-boo. And all of a sudden, what was hurting kind of go away. You watching her kiss your old rusty, scarred up knees. Well, let me kiss your feet. Oh! Because love is always greater than circumstances. Love is always greater than pain. And so at the point that when you're in that pain, think about those days when you came home and the boy that you run off with hurt you. And you just fell back in arms, crying. Don't cry too loud, we don't want your daddy to know. Think about it. You came home, that woman that had you smelling yourself now, then left you and you're smelling all by yourself. And she said, baby, she wasn't the one for you anyway. Create an environment of care no matter the circumstances. But I'm through, let me give you the last one. The last one is, she always give up her rights for your life. This woman, story is that she has a baby, she has it in the brothel house. And while she nourished her baby, put him to sleep, put restraints upon her sleeping habit, and readjust her life because now there's an additional to her life and she can't have the whole bed no more. She realized that and she contains herself. And that's what I want to say sometime to parents. We've got to learn how to contain ourselves. I know you're grown. I know you can do what you want. But there's some things that your children ought not see you do. You need to contain yourself. That's all I'm going to give on that today. That's y'all saying pastor preaching too hard. Some things, contain yourself. You don't have to know all your stories. Let's tell them a little of them so that they can understand the reason why they crazy. Mom talking to me yesterday, she dropped one of my grandfather's story. And I leaned over and I said, Lord, you didn't tell me that. Now I know why I'm crazy. Now I know something about my struggle. And y'all blamed it all on my dad. But this stuff to come from both sides. I was driving this morning just thinking about, Lord, I'm going to need double help around here. I done got this foolishness from both sides of the family. I got to learn how to, But some kind of way, mother, stand in those situations and change your outcome. Can I help you in this room? And as when you and I have this conversation, this woman keeps her son properly, but the other woman who has the assignment, but she ain't ready for it. And be careful for assignments that you're not ready for. Because you may want them, but you may not keep them. You may want them for the moment and for the emotional high, but are you really ready for it? No, there's a difference in saying wanting something and ready for it. Yeah. There's a difference in saying, you know, I have it, but there's a difference in saying whether or not it has me. There's a difference in terms of saying, I want something and I'm prepared for it. Can I help you? This woman wanted a child, but she wasn't ready for one. Pastor, how you know? Because the text says she laid over him, didn't share the bed with him, but smothered him because she wasn't ready. That's what she wasn't ready to contain herself, to keep herself on her side of the bed, to keep herself on her side of the boundary line. She wasn't ready. She wasn't ready. And because she wasn't ready, she smothered her kid. Now, I can get into the dynamics of what that looked like. Because sometimes it ain't the woman in the brothel house. Sometimes it's the woman who's so demanding in terms of your children that you won't allow them to live and be themselves. And be who God wants them to be and not who you want them to be. I can expand that and start talking about maybe it's the woman who missed something and now you're trying to live what you missed through them and force them to be you. It ain't just the woman in the brothel house who ain't ready to change her lifestyle, but it's also the woman who ain't ready to recognize that her life is not the life of her child, even though she gives up her right. She gives up the right to her life so that the child can have life. Right. That's a lot. Because sometimes we think our children belongs to us. Really? They belongs to the one who gave you the assignment. And he know what plans he has for them. That's right. And he know who he created them to be. Amen. And he know that he raised them to solve a different problem than he called you to solve. And so y'all life may not be the same. She may not be a nurse like you're a nurse. Maybe a social worker. Maybe a psychiatrist. Don't ever know. So when you and I get in this room and we get to this last point, we are careful to jump over it and to suggest it's easy, but it's not easy. Because giving up your rights is not just about giving up the rights so that the kid can live, but giving up the rights so the kid can thrive and be who it is that God has called him or her to be. Amen. Giving up your rights is to say no to what you want them to be and say yes to what God has created and called them to be. Amen. Giving up your rights means that sometimes you have to give them away in order that they may have the life that you can't give them. And that'll bother everybody in this room. But it's right in the woman's story. The woman said, before I kill a child, I let the child be given to another. Somebody in here just missed that in their room because that's more heavy than you. So adoption ain't a frown. Sometimes adoption is saying, I'm not ready, but maybe there's somebody else. And before I kill the child, I give it to someone who will give life to the child. The truth of the matter in the story, there's no DNA test. The truth of the matter in the story, Solomon cannot tell because the baby doesn't take upon the features of the mother to the fact of where he can distinguish who the baby belongs to. He couldn't look the woman in the face and say, yo, you didn't have face identity like you have on your iPhone and say, this belongs to you. Right. But what he did have was the fact of knowing what a caring mother would do on the behalf of their child. He didn't have DNA. But he had good common sense to know that if it was your child, then you wouldn't split the child. You wouldn't saw the child in two. If you, y'all, can I drop that? Y'all let me have one preaching moment in there. And all too many times in relationships, parents are so busy splitting their children. Divide them. Separate them from the father. Separate them from the mother. Don't let the father have no say. Minimize who he is so that I can have the whole say. You're my baby. Splitting your child. Dividing it. Doesn't know who to trust. All because you want to split it. Don't deal with this side of the family. Deal with this one. Don't like them liking you. Splitting them. Good mother. Give up her rights. Give up her rights so her children can have life. Yeah. I'm through. I talked about this. Woman says, go ahead. Give it to her. Maybe she'll do better than what she did with hers. But I know he would be better in her hands alive than he would be split, dead in mine. My heart won't let me kill mine. Her heart already let her kill hers. But Solomon, even in the midst of that, I turn my son or my daughter over to something that may not be the best for them. As long as I know that they're still living and there's opportunity for them to come out. Right. I'm through with it. Amen. Can I help you in this room? Can I just tell one more woman's story? And get out of here. Short story. She's about 16 years old when God says to her, I need a son. And he says to her, give me your innocence. Mary, who's virgin, spouse to Joseph, God who needs a son, because now he's ready to intervene in our sinful situation and take our sins away and cover everyone that you ever committed. And God who's now ready to bring the redemption of hope to humanity says to an innocent young girl by the name of Mary and says, give me your innocence because I need a son. Mary gives her innocence, but he also tells her, give me your pain, because in the childbirth there's a whole lot of pain. I wish I could talk about Mary longer, but I told you I would make it a short story. Listen, she's suspect. She's judged by others, talked about and ridiculed in the community, almost stoned by her husband that she's espoused to. She's frowned upon and looked upon and sneered at as she walked in the neighborhood. People looking at her and calling her names and laboring her, but yet God had chose her. And all I'm saying, the mothers in this room, don't worry about people who labor you, who suspect and sneer at you because of your circumstance. Just keep on remembering, God has called me to give birth to a son, to give birth to a daughter. Don't worry about what's the opinions and don't worry about what the standard, because the standard was not for God to show up and impregnate a virgin, but nevertheless, he broke the standard so he could get a son in the earth realm that would change circumstances. Yeah, keep reading your Bible. You'll keep on finding out that God, when he get ready to do unusual stuff, he's always breaking the standard and the circumstances that we've grown accustomed to. Yeah. And somebody in here, I just shouted in this room because I'm here because standards and circumstance was broke to keep me in this room. Can I help you? Now, not only did she give her pain, she gave her reputation. I already covered it. I can keep it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Not only that, she gave him space. That at 12, when he said, I must be about my father's business, she backed off and remembered that the father had created him to save his people. That's what he told Joseph. Yeah, let me leave you alone in this room. Not only did she give him space to grow, but she also gave him consideration in terms of who God had called him to be. One day she came looking for him, hadn't seen him in a while, told the woman that if you would tell Jesus to come outside because his mother was out there. He sat in the room with himself and I'm saying it about you, Lord, and talking about who my mother, who my brother. You know, most mothers would tell him, you better tell him to get out of here before I come in that room. I was sure who, you know, most mothers would have said, Mama Regina laughing because she said, and I would have did just that. Right there in the room, can I help you in this room? But she backed off and said, tell him keep on doing what God has called. Yeah. But not only that, she gave God the brokenness of her heart. That when she had to watch him be carried to carry a cross, beat all night long, yeah, nails to his hands and spikes to his seat and a sword to his side and thorns on his head, and there he died. But before he died, the fact that he would give and honor his mother and said, you've been a good mother. He looked at John and said, behold our mother, son, behold our mother. If you've been a brother to me like I said you were, now she understands why I have brothers, because now when I'm gone, the brother would take her up. Then he turns around, he honors his mother because she's been a good mother. She's given her all that she could in order that he may become who God had called him to be. And there he died. But even in her grief, bright early Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the other Mary, but the mother of Jesus, also went to an empty tomb because she still